Hey Brian, it's Craig Gamma, Paraglider Surfs USA. Went over a few things here with the Bernini, the newer Bernina sewing machines, like your B770, B710, B435, 400, 500, 600. No 600. 400, 500, 700, 800 series. All you have the black bobbin, which is the larger size bobbin, and the black case. If I haven't said it already, doesn't hurt to say it again. These cases, very expensive. They're plastic, but they got little intricate parts on the inside, little springs and stuff. Anytime you're picking one up and moving it around, don't go over the floor with it. If you accidentally drop it from here to the floor, you will damage it. And these are like 80 to 90 bucks. They're expensive. So anytime I'm using this, I'm always, when I pull it out of the machine, when I pull it out, I'm always over the table with it. I'm always over the table. I never go from here over the floor and then to the table. I'm always, because I've dropped one and I've ruined one and I've had to bite the bullet in that regard. The next thing I want to go over is the tension. So there's this tension gauge by Tech Lock. I think this is Japan company. I forget it. Yeah, it's made in Japan. DTN-100 is the model number. And when I put the bobbin case on it, you know, the bobbin inside, and you got to pinch it to where you're not putting any pressure on this leaf spring, and lift it up because it's going to spin on the bottom, and then pull it. I'm getting 0.4 on this gauge, and this gauge is in, what is it in? Graduations are 0.5 in to 0.1 in to 1.0 in. And so I'm getting 0.4 in is the average. I mean, it's going to fluctuate from 0.3 to 0.5, and it's going like that when this thing is, when I'm pulling it and it's spinning. And so that just tells me that it's in between the range, and so it's 0.4 is the setting that I have, just so you know what the setting is for my bobbin. Next thing, oils. There's red cap oil and yellow cap oil, and this is buying through Bernina Jeff on that one link I gave you recently. And he has the right oil that they use for Bernina, and the reason, and you want to use the Bernina oils that's recommended specifically by the factor. They don't varnish up like other oils. This evaporates. So every time I sew, I have to put a drop in. And I know if it's a day later, 2 days later, that whatever I put there, not completely, but some of it will evaporate. And if it's more than 3 or 4 days, then you'd be rest assured it's all evaporated. And that's good because you don't want it to build up and dry and get sticky. And then there's the yellow one. And this one, and see how the needles? These needles are like, what are they? Yeah, 3 inches long. The 2-inch needles that they come with don't get into this slot in here, back into the, oops, I'm gonna get my cap stuck in there. But the 3-inch ones do, because I was telling you, you're gonna oil when I run the needle down, I'll run it down and then I'll oil it at the very top of the shaft here and put a drop there, and then I'll run it so it goes up and down and, you know, spreads the oil along that shaft. And then I'll go in here, and there's a couple of joints in there. Can't see them, you know, with this scenario with my iPhone, but these needles, because of the length of them, can get into those joints, and I could put a drop on each of those joints. And then, so I use the red for oiling the hook. So I'll go in here, the hook race, and let me lower this real quick. And let's pop this open. Bear with me, I only got one hand to use here. Make sure my nail's up. And I pull. So there's 2 pads there. There's a pad right there and a pad right there. 1 drop in each one. And you don't want to get any oil residue. Let me get a Q-tip here. I gotta get a Q-tip. Shoot. Bear with me here. I'm trying to do everything one-handed and it doesn't work. And so if I get oil outside of that pad, I'll take a Q-tip here and wick it up because you don't want to get any oil on the inside of that spring. Okay? It's just at the pad. Okay? And so I'll just wick up any oil that gets outside of that pad so there's none nowhere else. You get and then when this thing runs and you pull it out after it's run, it'll have a light film in there, and that's fine. But when you first put it in, you just don't want to get any oil on there. It's just the pad, there and there, one drop. And then I let it sit horizontal here so the gravity helps pull it down. Let it sit for a couple of minutes. And then before I put it back in, don't ever drop this. You hold this like gold when you come from here over the floor. You don't want to drop it. Very expensive. You don't want to wreck that point or any of it. And then in here, you're gonna put a drop, oh gosh, I don't know, in the race. So there's a shiny circular metal race, and just put a drop of oil in that race, and one drop, and then stick your hook in. The trick to put the hook in, there's a trick. There's a trick. And so when you've pulled it out, you make reference to how it is. See, the hook point is at the top usually, and that circular opening at the bottom of the hook is at the bottom, if you pulled it out when the needle was all the way up. And then when I put it back in, I just lay it down on the thing with the hook points facing me. I lay it right onto that. And then I just, and you know that opening in the hook, which is at the bottom, is because there's a dot. And see, that dot's actually not on the bottom. I didn't have it at the bottom this time, so let me rotate this. See how, there it's at the bottom. See the circle in the bottom? There's a circle in the center, and then there's a circle right there in the bottom. That's the one that matches that opening, okay? On the hook. There's an opening on the hook. See that hole? So now that's gonna be on the bottom, so that means I'm gonna put this on this black thing with the point of the hook facing me, which is right there, and that means the hole's on the hole below the center hole, or silver thing, is on the bottom. And then what I do is I just flip it up. I don't have it sitting in there perfectly right. I need there, just like that. So it's sitting like that, and then I just flip this up. Okay, and I heard it click. It's in, the magnet already caught it, because I'm used to doing this all the time. And I put two fingers in and I rotate it one or other to make sure the magnet caught it. And it caught it because I lined up that hole with that circle I was telling you about. And it's locked in there. Okay, usually you don't get it right. I got lucky every now and then. And I'll have to put my two fingers in and I rotate to the right or rotate to the left until I hear it click into the magnet. And then you lock it. And then I run it to spread the oil that I put in there around. So that's a trick for putting the hook in and out. What else could I tell you? Oh, bobbin winding. So the routing of the bobbin winding is, let me get a bobbin here. So I'm putting it on here, and what I'm doing is, you can have a thread stand of some sort. I just have it kind of centered in the machine. This is my Tex 45 and my Tex 70. Obviously it has to go up, perfectly from the center, and then I route it. And I route it from here to here, then around the bobbin winder thing, and then into the machine. And that's how I get my upper thread tension right, is I've routed it twice. Now this clip here, you may or may not have this on the B70. If so, you can just use this one. This one here is an additional one. This is an add-on that was, because I can take this thread spool thing and mount it here, and that was just attached to mount it there. But I always drop my machine down in the cabinet, and I can't have it mounted on here to do that, so I just set it separately. I just do that right. But so you won't have this clip, is all I'm trying to say. You may or may not have that clip. So what I'm doing is, whether I'm using this thread or this one, I'm rounding it to here, then around this, and then into the machine. In your case, you may only be able to go here, here, and here, and that's fine. Whether you're going here or here, it's the same. This is really not considered a turn. This is turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3. This is the one that normally is with the machine. When I do the bobbin, I do similar. So what I do here's I go, how do I do the bob? I go, it's funny when I go to think about it, I can't recall. I think I go from here to here, and then I go around this, and then come back to the bobbin. Let me think now. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm going, and you won't have this one, you'll have this one. So from this cleat, you're going to go to here, and then it's going to go around here, and then see the arrows? The arrows tell you which way it winds. So I'm going, let me just do it. Well, I can't, I only got one hand. But I'm going from this cleat, which you should have. You go to here, and then you'll go around this counterclockwise, and then you're going to come here, and same thing, it's going to go counterclockwise. I stick it through the hole, and then I manually turn this like 6 times so that it locks it onto itself, and then I turn it on. And all I have to do is flip that and it'll go. You want to get the speed set right, so I'll go to the settings, and I'll go to the bobbin thread, and see I have it set at 60 for the speed. If I go a little less, what will happen is as it's filling up, it'll start bogging down. It'll go, and then it'll start speeding up at the end. Well, at 60, it stays high at a good speed, and when it starts getting some resistance, as it gets fuller and fuller, it doesn't slow down to almost stop like it does if you go a little bit slower speed. So 60 is the speed that I like. And then the other setting that you want to be aware of is your speed of the machine. I'm not sure where it is. That's it right here. Yeah. So see, you can set it like this, and what that means is when I set it at its highest setting, and then the setting here, even though it has the slowest, as I'm pushing the throttle, it'll speed up if I remember right. But if I go lightly on the throttle, it'll stay low. But if I go, I have the option to going up to high. And maybe I got it wrong. What I'm thinking is if I set it all the way up, then this will work as I move it up, going from slowest to fastest. Once I have that at 1,000 RPM. But if I keep this, and this is what I recommend you just keep it at 100. It's no matter where you put this, it's going to stay at 100. That works best for me. I think I covered all the bases here. If not, let me know.